Well, ladies and gentlemen, we've got a huge updated New York Times poll that does have Donald Trump up by one in the general election, which is absolutely seismic. You've got reports now saying within the Kamala Harris Biden camp, all of the Biden people are saying, I told you so. They wanted Josh Shapiro, but they end up going with Waltz. And certainly this seemingly is not helping them. You can see Trump plus one, the full ballot when you include Oliver as well as Stein. I don't know. They didn't include West, or maybe he got not enough to be on here, but you can see that brings Trump up to two. And there's some interesting crosstabs and internal numbers when you look at this. I believe, at least what I was told, this was a +3 Republican sample. Now, normally they'll sample Dems +2 to 5, but in this, based off of, and I would say this is probably more accurate, to be fair, when you base it off of all of the voter registration, basically every single state outside of California, maybe a few others, you're seeing more Republicans and less Democrats, and also more independents. But listen, the overall bottom line here is if Trump and New York Times, they are graded out as an A+, whether or not you believe that, Trump being +1 is seismic, considering he overperforms by normally about 1.5 to 2 points at least in terms of a general popular vote. Even if he underperforms, though, relative to this poll, and look, with the debate coming, this poll, it's going to be redone. You could say this doesn't really matter, although it does kind of matter, because I think the debate, it probably, unless there's some remarkable crazy moment, it's probably not going to change much. Republicans are going to say that Trump wins. Democrats are going to say Harris wins, unless there's some crazy Biden type moment. And even then, the Democrats are not going to, because remember, these things are all so subjective. If you're a Democrat, you're going to like the Democratic policy. So you're going to like, well, actually, I shouldn't say that because she doesn't have any policies, but you're going to like the vibes, the Democrat vibes. That's what I should say. So you're going to like Harris. If you're a Republican, you're going to like Trump because you like Republican policies and he's going to be saying them. But just in general, the mainstream media, especially the leftist media like CNN, they're not going to bow down and say that Trump beats Harris in a debate, just like they did with Biden, because with Biden, they had an off-ramp. With Harris, there's no off-ramp. They're going with Harris no matter what. So they really can't say that she lost the debate, or, I mean, I guess they can, but it would just be extremely unlikely. The Biden situation was so much different with that debate happening in June. This is after both of the conventions. So Trump being +1, we've said it. This is just general head-to-head popular vote. If he loses the popular vote by 2, that would have him underperforming this poll by 3 points. This is an A+ pollster. Trump would still have, I would say, probably an 80% chance to win the Electoral College. Losing the popular vote by 2, if you are Trump, is still a great sign. Losing it by 1, I'd say you pretty much won guaranteed. If it's around tied or within a point, Trump wins. If he wins this, the popular vote by 1, I think he wins the Electoral College with around 312 minimum, maybe even taking a state like Virginia or New Hampshire to get up even higher. But that's just would be my prediction there. Obviously, when you include everyone, now, whether or not this is more accurate or less accurate, people tend to think when you include everyone, it's less accurate, just because normally when push comes to shove, most people end up not voting for Oliver or Stein or a third party. But Trump goes up by 2, which is huge. And then the crosstab, you've got Biden 2020 voters going for Harris at around a 92% rate to 6% not going. And then you've got the Trump, which this makes total sense. Obviously, if you voted for Trump in 2020, you're very likely going to vote for him in 2024. His approval rating is way better. So you can see 97% to just 2% not. Harris to Biden, or excuse me, Biden to Harris, it's going to be less, because not every Biden supporter likes Harris, right? They're two different people. It's not like comparing Biden, even if it was Biden in 2024 versus Biden in 2020, I think there'd be way less just because of Biden's mental decline. You do have the men, and really this is how this should be working. Men need to overwhelmingly go for Trump. Liberals hate men, especially white men. There should be no white men voting for Harris. They've said they hate you. Why would you vote for that? It makes no sense. Or I'm sorry, they say it's a guilt trip and you have too much and you need to give up stuff and all that. So really it should, men, it should be about 65% for Trump. But in this, it's 56. And this is, more accurate. It's probably not going to be 65. But I'm just saying in general, with their narrative, they hate men. They do hate men. Like it's it's a hyperbole. It's an exaggeration. No. That's their viewpoint. So that's important to understand. So you can see that is around plus 17 for Trump. This is exactly what we're talking about with women, where they say, oh, women always vote more. They're going to go for Harris because liberals say, if we make the government daddy, women are going to flock to that. And so that's why they want a father. They want like, they want safety. That's what it is. That's the biology behind it. And so that's why the government's like overbearing and they've got such a huge government. It appeals to women. And so that's why you've got women going for Harris. You could say, well, it's also because Kamala, the first female president. I don't think that's it at all. I think females, they see through that because the first, woman president thing, it might have worked with Hillary, and it did seem a lot more organic with Hillary because at least she won the primary and there was more of a narrative around it. With Harris, the only reason she's even the pick is because Biden was so bad in the debate. Women have to understand that. She was not their choice. They were going to go with an old white man again, but he sucked so bad in the debate, they had to go with Harris. So it's important that they realize that. And these are good numbers for Republicans, only to be minus 11. The men need to be so much higher in terms of pro-Trump than the women for Harris that it more than makes up for it. And that's what we're seeing right here. You've got plus 17 for Trump in terms of men, women only plus 11 for Harris, but women do vote more. So obviously that's going to make it up some. There's no doubt about that. You do have the Democrats. See, this is something that I probably, although I don't know, but it's very close, but Democrats going to Harris 93 to 4%, performing well, I don't know if you can even say performing better because Trump is at 94, so it's higher than 93, but then 5%. So it's basically the same thing. And then this is the really crazy one to me. So I did say that this was they oversampled Republicans by 3 in this poll, but they have independents going for Harris by 4. Normally, we see the exact opposite in terms of these polls. Normally, what'll happen is Harris will be leading the general popular vote, just like the overall poll, by whatever percent, 2, 3, 4%. But Trump will be leading the independents by like 9 or 10, and he'll still be losing. So to see this where Trump is leading the overall, even though it's just by 1%, but then losing independents, I would be shocked. Now, you could technically still argue that Harris can win this election by losing independents by a few points, and I think liberals expect that to happen. I mean, with the communist ideology, independent people just don't like that. Let's just be honest. So independents, I think these numbers are wrong in terms of Harris leading independents by 4 flat out. I have not seen really any polls with Harris leading independents outside of this poll. So even if you want to say, oh, it oversampled Republicans, but what are these independent numbers? This is absurd. Do we really think independent people are going to vote for the Soviet Union 2.0? It's just not going to happen. So that seems very unlikely there. 18 to 29, 8% lead for Harris. Honestly, probably pretty good numbers for Trump. Only an 8% lead there. This normally is another good one. It's like, this is like the millennial, I think, 30 to 44, Harris up by 9. And then you do have 45 to 64. That's normally where Trump performs really well, plus 9. And then Trump is plus 6. It's funny, it's shifted a little bit. When it was Biden versus Trump, Trump was performing very well with the young people and a lot worse. It was like tied with 65 and older because Biden, I guess, is so old and they related to him. But now Trump, again, has a lead. I mean, it's a normal caricature. You would think older person would be more conservative. You would think it'd be the way they dress it up. It'd be like Trump leading the old people by 60. But that's just, it's a Democratic talking point. That's really not how it is. It's very close. He's only up by 6 in terms of that. You've got the favorability ratings, which I think is a lot more accurate. And these favorability numbers are amazing for Trump. Trump sitting minus 6. Harris is sitting minus 5. I think that's very accurate. I think that is very accurate based on where we're at right here. You can see the leans. Liberals are going to say, oh, they oversampled, 48 to 45. But if you've got independents, there's no way she's winning independents. Liberals admit they're going to lose independents based on how radical she is. So when you factor that in, I think this is a pretty accurate poll. So they oversample Republicans to make up for it. But this electorate probably will be leaning maybe Republican by plus 1. Worst case, it would be Dem plus 2. But if that's the case, there's no way she's winning independents. A lot of this is probably a lot of Democrats maybe saying they're independent and then saying they're going to vote with Harris. That's maybe why in this poll she's up by 4 in terms of independents. That's just my speculation. I don't know. But it does warrant an oversampling a little bit of Republicans because a lot of those independents are probably Democrats, which would lead me to believe that people are just not being honest with that. But in general, these numbers they check out, and it's very good for Trump, and Trump is just trending. You look at anything, If you round it up, it's +2, really. So wow, so maybe like 1.7, you round it up to +2. And then you do have the Nate Silver. I mean, this is becoming a blowout. This is going to get very ugly, I think. And it's not surprising. And Democrats deserve this. We knew this was going to happen. And it's obviously everyone's got to go out and vote, but this is looking very, very good for Trump here as we enter. And of course, the debate's coming up, but Trump's going to have a lot of ammunition in terms of the debate. We'll have to see if he can deliver a knockout punch, or if I would guess it would probably be more of a literal he said, she said, where it's like, some people think this, some people think that. It's not, there's no really definitive, because we are, a partisan country, and Republicans are always going to think Trump wins. Democrats are always going to hate Trump and think he loses everything. So, but this is really good numbers. I mean, you can see the overall electoral votes, Trump at 281. This is just a model. I think Trump can easily get more than that. And then you do also have even the popular vote probability. Trump is creeping up at 44% when originally, look at this, the total popular vote share, Trump only down by 0.7. If that's the case, he's going to win this election for sure if he loses the popular vote by 0.7. So, yeah, that's where we currently stand, and these are really, really good numbers. And you can see the comparison. Biden in 2020 among Hispanics was sitting +28. Harris is sitting +12. That's just a crazy difference, 16-point difference right there. You do also have Biden amongst blacks was +74, and now Harris is +62. So that's Trump improving by 12 points there. So everything is checking out that Trump is doing better. His approval rating is way better. The overall head-to-head polling numbers are way better. All of the demographics outside of, what we saw from that one poll, independents, which is kind of fluky. Again, normally Trump wins independents. I think a lot of those people, they're really Democrats, but they said in the poll they were independents. So that wonked it a little bit. But this is really good numbers for Trump. And this points to a great situation for Donald Trump going into the debate on Tuesday night. And I would expect not a ton of change out when we get out of the debate. But obviously, I think we're just going to see with all of the October surprises Trump has, the way Harris treats her staff is horrible. Once you get maybe a few videos, some secret videos on that, I mean, it's just going to tank her completely. They've got no October surprise on Trump. They had no October surprise in 2020. That's why they had to silence the Hunter Biden thing illegally with big tech and Mark Zuckerberg admitting it. They had no October surprise on Trump. Everyone forgets that. So what will be their October surprise in 2024? Well, it's going to be nothing, or they're going to make something up. It's one of those two. So either way, guys, that is going to do it for this video. Make sure you follow me on X. Link to that's always in the description.